I'm Richard Legina. Tonight, on Wraparound, we will be examining comedy, its origins and its genesis. Where does it come from, this thing known as funny? Is it to be found deep within the human psyche? Or, as one expert contends, deep within the Earth's smoldering mantle? Tonight on Wraparound, we welcome expert Sir Dr. George Fleitas, the preeminent authority in the archaeology of comedy, as well as the world's leading specialist in geohumorous tectonics, whose recent discovery may lead to an answer of where does comedy come from? Some 30 to 60,000 years old. How did you come to discover these?
Well, it was actually, oddly enough, a picnic with my ex-wife. She left me here for dead, and after 3 days I realized it was open at both ends. The light was pouring in and I stumbled out and I looked up and I saw these drawings. You see, like this one. This is the most remarkable one.
Fascinating.
Here we see the most exciting thing in this cave art. We find that a wounded bison is attacking a hapless villager, ripping him apart, as you can see, tearing him limb from limb. How do we know that's funny? Why would something so grisly be funny? Well, we know because of these highly detailed, extraordinary drawings of these men pointing sort of at him and laughing in a circle, observing the behavior. Now, is it crude? Yes. Barbaric? Yes. Funny? Most definitely. Except to that one. That one it's not very funny too. But comedy is tragedy plus time.
You drew those chaps in there laughing and pointing, didn't you?
Yes.
Well, perhaps sullying this priceless cave drawing has illustrated an important point. To these primitive people, savaging a hapless villager was a form of entertainment. Perhaps anything can be entertaining depending on how it's presented.
Yes, or who endorses it as art. Like I said, this is cave art. Who knows? It might not have been. For all we know, it could have been like a stop sign to them. We found an example of this in the McFwap Corps for something called a promo for a live show. It was about 90 minutes long, called Performance Art. Let's take a look. All right, in time that'll be funny too.
Extended for 6 more weeks. Straight from the Smithsonian Institute, presenting Derek Howard's World O' Hats! A one-man exaltation of the Chapeau! Derek Howard's whirlwind historical extravaganza, and once a touching, sometimes oddly moving one-man show. Each hat is given its due as an important moment in history. Here's how one reviewer put it.
Now, this reviewer must confess that he's never been a fan of hat theater. Case in point, Rupert Fromage's ill-advised foray into the world of theatrical haberdashery. Fez! The musical. But upon Derek Howard's masterful brow, the world o' hats is transformed into the realm o' magic. When he starts a-changin', I start a-weepin'. It's the Hat-stacular stage event of the season.
Derek Howard's World O' Hats. Hats, now and forever.
Hello, I'm Prentice Voltaire.
And so am I.
Here now the news. Our top story
Now, here is the news.
Mind your head. There.
Thank you.
Now, of course, in the early millennia, all comedy was in the oral tradition, you know, with, of course, the blowjob joke, which was not that funny initially because 50% of the population was giving them, but the blowjob joke became funny over time because with the evolution of marriage, 50% of the population wasn't. Here, we see the first early drawings of comedy in the oral tradition. We found them in the Upper Paleolithic era in Lecaux, France. We should probably go there. I am so sorry. That's not what I wanted to show you.
Right.
Watch your head here as you go. How about that picture of the blowjob?
The Franklin Mint Foreskin Collection. Now you too can own a seminal piece of history. Every month, a different foreskin will be mailed to your home or office. This fine pewter representation can be mounted on an attractive pecan base, complete with certificate of authenticity from award-winning Moyle Rabbi Hiram Songping. Every month is another slice of history. The collection includes Albert Einstein, Aristotle, the remarkably tiny Jonas Salk, Winston Churchill, available in special 2-pack, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, the darkly romantic foreskin of Herman Melville, John Quincy Adams, St. Thomas Aquinas in mint condition, King Tutankhamun, pearlized penile sarcophagus extra, and artists like the Cubist Picasso, the well-worn Warhol, Georgia O'Keeffe, and the flaccid foreskin of Salvador Dali. Order now and your collection begins appropriately in March with Ulysses S. Grant. Yes! These foreskins have led the way of many a great man. The Franklin Mint Foreskin Collection. It's more than just hygienic. It's a little piece of history. Get yours today.
Not intended to be an actual foreskin, merely a representation. Not available in all states. Pewter foreskin will not expand with polishing. I'm having shock treatments. Batteries not included.
Hello, I'm Michelle Plankton Rabinowitz, and this is Crime Watch. To date, your calls to our anonymous tip line have led to the arrest of over 1,500 known felons, including 25 of the FBI's 20 most wanted. Tonight, shocking, exclusive security camera footage of 2 gunmen who have eluded authorities for over 6 months and who continue to cut a swath of violence across the Midwest.
Pardon me, I'd like to make an announcement. Please do not make any sudden or distressing movements, as this would force me to cut you all down in a hail of gunfire. This is an intricately planned bank robbery. I'm sorry, if I was unduly brusque moving through to threaten the teller, I do apologize. I realize that the majority of your banking needs are most conveniently addressed during the customary lunch hour. Regrettably, my purposes are also best served during this peak customer time, because the lunch hour is typically when the smallest number of banking personnel is on duty. Please note that I will make every effort to move this along as rapidly as possible, and allow those of you that do avoid receiving any disfiguring or painful injuries adequate time to eat before returning to your jobs. And again, please accept my deepest apologies in advance for any inconvenience these proceedings may cause.
And so, with those chilling words, the ordeal began. Those who survived described it as an eternity of terror. Watch now as the violence escalates.
In conclusion, and I do think that this certainly bears repeating, yet again, any needless heroics could very well get you shot and result in some secondary damage needlessly to that very lovely William Morris pattern wallpaper. Why not?
I take it from your expression that that may not have been an entirely appropriate course of action at this time?
Well, now, this is a rather distressing turn of events. You see, I had just informed the patrons of this bank that any sudden or distressing movements would result in the use of deadly force. There was, in that statement, the implication that those individuals who did refrain from movement would be safe from harm. It would appear that incentive has now been subverted.
A bank teller, brutally murdered, and the maniacal disdain of the savage killers. Never before in the history of recorded crime have such atrocious acts been carried out with such bloodthirsty civility.
Now, I hope that I've sufficiently clarified that issue. Thank you, sir. That was an excellent question. Now, where were we? The clothing issue?
Oh, yes, the clothing issue, yes. That gentleman there, the
Portly?
Yes, that's fair. The portly gentleman. Yes, you crouched under the desk there. I couldn't help noticing you're wearing a very handsome Armani suit. Oh, yes, and you, madam, attempting to hide under the water cooler there. Yes, you seem to be wearing a lovely Laura Ashley floral print.
That one?
Now, I did ask you to engage the safety after our last rather unfortunate incident.
In fact, you had. Sorry.
Yes, indeed.
Now, of all of the establishments that we've robbed, I can't think of one with more smartly dressed employees.
In fact, I must confess that it was precisely this attention to detail that encouraged Rupert and I to rob your bank.
Indeed.
Yes. Now, you will notice from time to time that I'll be referring to my associate as Rupert. His name, of course, isn't actually Rupert.
No, my name is, in fact, Charlie Ellis, although this, too, could be a clever diversion.
Charlie Ellis and Rupert. That is all that law enforcement officials have to go on at the moment. These chilling scenes captured on video and the eyewitness testimony of the survivors provide tantalizingly little as to the identity and location of what law enforcement officials have come to refer to as the 2 very polite guys. This terrified mother of one seen here in line, desperately clutching her baby, spoke to us here in the studio. Well, my baby started to cry, and the first robber, Rupert, or was it Charlie Ellis? Well, he put a gun to my baby's head, and he apologized that it might be necessary to shoot him in the head and the chest unless I could find some way to quiet him. Well, as a mom, I can understand how distracting a crying baby can be, and if you're trying to rob a bank, well, I mean, I know he said he would shoot my baby, but it seemed perfectly reasonable at the time. We also spoke with the head teller, another survivor of the ordeal.
Yes, they are very polite. I would that I only had more money to give them. I like them. I like them both. Very polite.
Yes, very polite. And very little for Armenian detective Hanfist Simonian to go on, aside from these grainy images and the remarkable sense of etiquette displayed by the felons. Detective Simonian issued this statement.
I'll call you back. I want to appeal to you miserable thugs. If you don't want me hunting you down like dogs, if you don't want me busting your balls for the rest of your miserable lives, then please turn yourselves in. Or at least do something, interesting. Do you know how frickin' long it took me to make detective? And you guys at least wear masks or something. Add some mystery to it. Steal some money. Give me something to recover. It's the same amount of paperwork. You don't want the money? Split it with me.
That seems a bit rude.
I'm sorry. I'm just an emotional man. Right, to be honest, I mean, sure, okay, I take a little bit on the side, but I'm basically a good guy, and I get this grief every day. I come home and it's the same thing again and again. You still wet my bed,
The two very polite guys are still on the loose. Detective Simonian needs your help to bring them to justice, no matter how polite they may be. If anyone has any information on the whereabouts of the two very polite guys, please call our Crime Watch anonymous tip hotline at 1-800-GET-THEM. I'm Michelle Plankton-Rabinowitz. Good night.
Yes. Well, we seem to be out of time.
Again?
Yes, regrettably. Perhaps we were a bit too verbose. Again, I want to thank you. Thank you for your cooperation. It was a pleasure not having to shoot any of you. Oh, of course, my mistake. It was a pleasure not having to shoot all of you.
Just a reminder, please do not cooperate with the authorities in any attempt to apprehend us, or we will be forced, regrettably, to hunt down and kill you. I'm very sorry.
As am I.
Very good. Now, Richard, it's interesting to note the layers of comic strata you'll find in this McWhap core sample. The oldest form of comedy, of course, is the pun. Just down there, that's the pun area. Also, just above that, we have the rind of banana era and the pie of cream era, both sort of married together. There was a lot of cataclysm in this area. It was very simple comedy, very violent, but often funny. Now, from these Harlequinesque sort of fragments and the telltale smell of sulfur and Brussels sprouts, actually the Brussels sprouts are me. I hope that's all right. You'll tell this is the Commedia del Farte area. See this pocket of air right here? This clear area in here indicates Commedia del Farte, which actually separated the area. They just wanted to get away from it, and who can blame them at this point? Now, you'll see here, in this great divide, Carlos, you may want to fix this when I'm done with it. You'll see the black and white era right here. You see where this sort of area is? That area? Wow. This is the black and white era. Now, it's divided into two distinct periods. You'll see a gray slate area with keystone in it. There's also the silent period, or the Emmett Kelly period, if you will. Notice the keystoning also has the keystone cop area in here. Now, a fossilized mustache, can you see that? A fossilized mustache was found in the Chaplin-esque era, which is right there. Well, they did do some silent era comedy, but there's always an element of sound to it. For example, let's take a look at this.
That, of course, was the Concertina for Recorder and Pistol, Opus 38.
Yes. Then, of course, there was the talkie periods, where McFwap did most of their work, you see. They did most of their work in this talking area with the chattering teeth. That was the first indication of sound coming into being. It was during the black and white era and continued into the Technicolor area and beyond. Interestingly, didn't know if you knew this, but if you went and saw Abbott and Costello, or indeed anyone live, they were in black and white until about 1947.
Really?
Yes. Now, occasionally new forms of light entertainment would evolve. You see, it would spread like a plague. Initially, wanting to entertain, seemingly innocent, but like a plague of locusts. Like a plague of locusts, Richard, they'd descend, devouring everything in their wake, leaving nothing behind, not even your senses. Recently, it's been the reality show, and of course, back in the 1950s, it was the game show. You see, this game show period. Now, here in the core sample from McFwap, we see one of the earliest game shows. I want you to take a look at it.
And now, from New York, let's meet our What's My Line panel.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Chubby Buntliner! You know the rules, let's meet our contestants. First up we have Mr. Winston Legthigh.
Hello.
Winston Legthigh is a fireman joining us from North Point, Wisconsin. Must get pretty cold up there in the winter, huh, Winston?
What?
Okay, next up we have Miss Christy Gallen. Christy, what do you do for enjoyment?
Well, some of my interests include the collected works of Lucas Boogers, handjobs, and Christianity.
Now, hang on a second there, Christy. I just want to make sure I heard you correctly. Did you say Lucas Boogers?
That's right, Chubby. Lucas Boogers was an 18th century German surgeon and author. You scared me there for a minute. I thought you were going to ask me about...
All right, let's go to Dr. Henry Sharp, an astrophysicist from Baltimore, Maryland. Welcome to the show, Dr. Sharp.
Hello, Chubby.
Now, Dr. Sharp, what does an astrophysicist do in his off hours?
Well, Chubby, I enjoy spending time with my family, of course. I collect 18th century Rococo artwork, and I'm currently
currently deeply involved in the rhythmic techno dance movement. In particular, Paul Oakenfold, Tricky, and the Propeller Heads.
Now, that surprises me, Doctor. I wouldn't have guessed you were involved in dance music.
Well, Chubby, not only will I frequently groove well into the night in some of the sweaty underground clubs in and around the Baltimore area, but I'm also excited to say that I've recently discovered the wild and wacky world of Yu-Gi-Oh!
Okay, we've met our panel. It's time to meet our mystery guest. Enter and sign in, please. Now, as is the custom on our show, we'll give each of our panel members one free guess as to our mystery guest's vocation. Winston, we'll start with you.
Does your job involve a fire engine or hook and ladder?
No, sir, it does not.
Okay, Christy.
Okay. Are you involved in an industry of some kind?
No, ma'am, I am not.
Safe to say. Dr. Sharp.
Does your occupation involve sucking the marrow out of sacrificial victims?
Yes, it does.
Okay, it's now time to reveal to our audience our mystery guests.
Today's mystery guest is Chupacabra, the goat-killing creature of South American folklore.
Okay, Winston, start us off with your first question.
Huh? Does your job involve a pressure or fire hose?
No, it does not, sir.
Okay, Christy.
Do you have to wear a name tag to work?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Actually, there was the one time with the two
with the
little,
thing,
that we met in the Guadalupe.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I have once.
Okay, yes answer was given, Christy. That means that you get to ask another question.
Have you ever been paid, sir, to wash balls? Say, at a bowling alley or a bathhouse?
Oh, been paid?
Yes.
No, I've never been paid to wash balls. Never paid.
Okay, Dr. Sharp.
Volunteer, sure.
Does your appearance bring great sorrow or misfortune?
Yes, it does, sir.
Certainly makes me think that a magician profession might be possible based on that answer, Chubby. Let's see. Do you work with others?
For a time, yes, I work with others.
Are you involved in the making of an item that I might use on myself in the home?
Oh, no, hope to say no.
Okay, well, back over to Winston.
Does your place of work have a sliding pole or Dalmatian?
No, no, it doesn't.
Pay careful attention to that no answer, Winston. That might be important. Let's go to Christy.
Your voice is so familiar.
Yes.
Might I have seen you on a show?
Including this one? Yes.
So you are on this show?
Yes.
Right now?
Yes.
Do you work in the arts?
Quick consult on this.
What about the black arts?
No, she did specifically say the arts in general. And that would indicate
okay, all right. Yeah. Okay. No, ma'am. I do not work in the area of the arts.
Sorry, Christy, no answer. Dr. Sharp, we're running out of time, so this will be our last round. Please start us off with your question.
Is what you do considered ruthless or morally reprehensible?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. I'd like to take a guess, Chubby, if I may.
Okay, Dr. Henry Sharp, what's his line?
Are you a criminal defense lawyer, sir?
Oh, I'm sorry, Dr. Sharp, an excellent guess, but no, I'm afraid that takes you out of the competition. Christy, we'll move on with you.
He's not a lawyer?
With the clues thus far, it's hard to believe, I know.
But you do work with people?
Yes, ma'am, I do for a brief time.
Would you be more or less likely to be at the scene of a crime?
I think more likely, given.
I don't have a clear idea in my head as to what
I
he
am
does.
going to have to rush you, Christy.
We're running out of time, so I would like to take a guess, Chubby.
Okay, Christy Gallen. What's his line?
Are you Chin Ho from TV's Hawaii Five-0?
No, I'm not Chin Ho from television's Hawaii Five-0. I'm not familiar with that program. I don't think it's been on yet. But I do have a keepsake box of Steve McGarrett's hair.
Really?
Which is,
I would love this.
Me too. Me too.
I do. It's a hobby, and it's in the shed. I get it for you, and I'll show you.
We don't want to give too much away. So, Christy, sorry, we did point out that he's not in the arts. Winston. Okay, Winston!
What?
Okay, Winston Legthigh!
What?
Your final question for our guest.
Oh, does your job have a rotating reddish light? Or
No!
I think we can safely confirm at this point that his job has nothing to do with the emergency services.
All right, keep your fire pants on. I'd like to make a guess there, Chubby.
All right then, Winston Legthigh, what's his line?
Are you a fireman, sir?
No, he's not a fireman! Are you stupid? I'm sorry, we're just out of time. None of our panel members correctly guessed tonight's mystery guest vocation. Our mystery guest was Chupacabra, the goat killer, who preys on livestock and doomed individuals destined to wander cursed for all time. Chupacabra, none of our panel members guessed your vocation. That makes you our winner! Now, if each of our panel members would put on the gaily colored goat costumes, as agreed to earlier, Chupacabra will meet each one of you up close and personal backstage after the show.
For God's sake, eat the stupid one first.
I don't think that narrows it down, sir.
I still bet you can put it on fire. Whereas game shows are perceived as frivolous, unfortunately comedy is as well.
But comedy is actually quite necessary in helping to maintain one's sanity in times of depression. Emotional, economic, or say a morbidly fat clown sitting on you.
Now, if you have to explain a joke, is it still viable?
No. Cue the next thing.
Due to recent industry downturns, more massive layoffs in all industries. For more, let's go to Mirna Montez. On location. Mirna? Mirna? I'm all alone. Been waiting here long?
Yeah.
Yeah, they usually come bunched up 2 or 3 at a time.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
Still, lovely day, not precipitous or anything. You often take the bus?
No, my transmission gave out.
I see you got a critter through your head.
Yes, sir, I do.
Yeah, I had a mole once.
Yeah.
I had it removed.
Yeah.
Started changing colors.
Oh, yeah, they can be dangerous when that happens.
Yeah, the doctor said we caught it before it became aggressive. My aunt had a minky in her armpit.
Minky? Like the chimpanzee?
No, like the mink.
Yeah.
Minky, as she used to say.
Yeah.
She always smelled lovely and fragrant, never had to wear deodorant or cologne, and always looked like she was going out for the evening.
Yeah, they can make wonderful accessories when they're well draped. My sister had a well draped beaver.
Still, if that thing starts changing size or color, you better get it checked out.
What thing?
Well, that wild boar through your head.
Oh, this is not a wild boar.
It's
This
not?
is the Alpine Marmot, or Corpus marmota marmota in the Latin. Say it with me.
Corpus marmota marmota.
Yeah, the wild boar is nearly impossible to mount cranially. Yeah.
It's a beaut.
Thank you. Her name's Greta.
Yeah, you know, since I had my mole removed, I feel kind of funny, kind of naked, without an animal. I'm thinking of having a Thompson's gazelle embedded in my testicles.
But then it wouldn't show.
Well, I like the element of surprise.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, when you get a girl back to your place, guess what I got in here for you, girl?
You'd have the horn, of course.
Twice over.
Yeah, double wide.
Double the pleasure.
Now, wait a second, though. I'd imagine you'd have to drop trowel every, half hour to allow that thing to graze.
Oh, you think that'd be a problem?
Well, not if you had a dead one implanted. You see, I know a brilliant cosmetic taxidermist.
Dead? It can't be dead. Stunned, maybe.
Stunned? Imagine you, boy. You're on that bus riding around, all of a sudden that stunned animal wakes up all bewildered and all. It wants to giddy up. That could be, that'd be painful.
Embarrassing.
Embarrassing. How's that feel there, Speedy?
Pretty good.
Are you tired of having to drop trout every time your Thompson's gazelle feels peckish? Are the kids in your hair shouting, screaming, making noise all the day long? Is there some obnoxious bore at the movies who keeps talking yap, 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 yap all the way through the movie? Now, with a new revolutionary Stun-O-Matic Stun Fun Gun, you can stupefy any creature that annoys you, sending the target into a harmless state of suspended animation for 2, 4, or even up to 8 hours at a time! This advanced form of electroencephalography was first developed by Tesla and Cutter Labs while tormenting mice and rats, and then perfected by the FBI and other law enforcement officials. The Stun-O-Matic Stun Fun Gun uses a revolutionary new patented technology, Smart Current, TM, to send a concentrated 20,000 volts of electricity straight to the medulla oblongata, seat of the reptilian brain, rendering all motor functions inoperable, save those necessary for survival. Here's what some satisfied customers have to say.
Well, I got me 4 little ones. 2 by Billy Joel, he was my first husband. The 3rd was by Curtis Sleet. He's that bass player for that country rock crossover band Cactus Death. And I don't remember who nailed me for the last one. Anyway, when I get home from my 2nd job at the mini mart, and the kids are just screaming, howling like a bunch of wounded banshees. Well, I can't even hear myself think. Thanks to Stun-O-Matic Stun Fun Gun, I can take the little ones out just long enough to unwind, kick back, have myself a 6-pack, and watch some TV where I can actually hear what Jerry Springer is saying. Thank you, Stun-O-Matic Stun Fun. You have literally saved my life. Shut up!
Oh, wrong one. Oh. Hello! As a dentistry professional, pain and regrettably pain management are delightful parts of my job. Is it safe? No.
Is it safe? Is it safe? Is it safe?
Spit. Now, however, when a patient comes in for a happy root canal or a jocular filling, TM, I can dial in just how long I want them to be out, zap them, and they feel no exalted pain or pleasant discomfort throughout the entire blissful procedure. On behalf of myself and thousands of other oral healthcare professionals, you are one heck of a gun, Stun Fun Gun.
Mocha. Well, I've been married for 27 years, and Bert, my 3rd husband, just bought a Stun-O-Matic Stun Fun Gun for home security. Since Mr. Wappley shot and later killed himself at the club cleaning his AK-47, Egyptian make. And Bert's always been a little hanky about having conventional firearms in her boudoir. Well, Bert was showing off for me in the bridge club, showing us how he could stop a burglar. And he just dressed up a little Pomeranian that we found in the neighborhood as a burglar. And just as he was lunging, he slipped and he took himself out. Thank goodness it wasn't one of those AK-47s, because the bolt action is really hinky. Let me tell you, Bert folded like a card table. And I thought it was funny. Then I started tickling him and teasing him there on the carpet, and I wondered how many actions that are involuntary are really involuntary. Well, let me tell you, it all worked. And Bert and I now make a date every evening, only I take him out with Stun-O-Matic Stun Fun Gun. Thanks for making me feel young again. Bert? Mommy needs her bean fiddled. Ah. Stun-O-Matic Stun Fun Gun. Thanks for making me feel young again. Thank you. And Bert thanks you. Don't you, Bert? Say thank you clearly. Right.
As a witness to the anointed messengers of the one and only true God, Amen, I used to find it difficult to get people to listen when Brother Abendigo and I would testify. Now, when someone answers the door, Brother Abendigo smites the sinner, and we find that prepares them to hear the word of the Lord. I truly believe the Stun-O-Matic Stun Fun Gun to be a gift from God.
The new revolutionary Stun-O-Matic Stun Fun Gun! Get yours before someone gets you!
Every age that's been considered a golden age has had a flourishing of art. Except, of course, the golden shower age, which no one was proud of, except maybe the Germans. There's grandmother's image crashing into my brain again. I'm going to need some therapy to my cerebral cortex. Ronald? Ronald? Yeah? Yes, I need another treatment. Now, that's comedy. Subversion of expectations through comedy. Now, some would be amused by this watermelon tomfoolery and pay $50 to see a sort of thing like this. I call that period the idiot period, which continues to this day. And speaking of, here's a piece I really liked.
Hello, I'm Art Gahn. Welcome to Beyond the Known. We're coming to you live via television as well as by way of streaming video on the World Wide Web. Every night we examine the world of the paranormal and of conspiracies and provide a sounding board for some of the great thinkers of our day that the mass media don't want you to hear. With us tonight, Dr. George Flightus, a leading intellectual and author of a new book he claims exposes the most frightening cover-up of the century.
Good evening, Art.
I must apologize, Doctor. I'm afraid I haven't had an opportunity to actually read your book.
Oh, dear.
But we all know that there are many troubling events in the world today. Some would say that paranormal, almost mystical forces are at work. Much of our audience, Doctor, has a very real sense that the world is heading toward Armageddon.
Good night, Art. It's been a pleasure.
We're not finished, Doctor.
Oh, there's more? Terrific.
Dr. Flightus.
Good.
As a result of your lifelong research, what do you think is at work here?
Well, Art, I believe that all the ails of society can be attributed to one thing. One single, horrible thing.
And that is?
The potato.
The potato. Doctor, we pride ourselves on our healthy skepticism. This seems like a real stretch to me. What evidence is there that potatoes are a problem?
I call it the great potato addiction, and I believe the statistics speak for themselves.
We are the statistics! We speak for ourselves!
Far too literal for my taste.
Oh.
So, Doctor, you suggest that we are experiencing a great potato addiction?
Yes, Art. In my book, I have factual proof that potatoes are the key to the dark secrets that shall destroy our society.
Now, why is your book entitled Stonehenge Decoded?
A printing error, Art. And it seems to help the sales.
Come on, how can potatoes be dangerous? They contain no toxins or carcinogens and have been accepted as harmless for centuries. There are no facts to back up this hypothesis. Or are there?
Yes, well, perhaps it would interest you to know that 99.9% of all adult criminals currently serving sentences of 10 years or more have eaten potatoes at some point in their lives. Fact!
That, yes, Doctor, that certainly is a fact.
It
but
is
you
indeed.
mean to say that they lead a life of crime because they've eaten potatoes?
Many of them were casual potato users.
Have you linked the potato to death in all cases?
No, but my research has found that of those people, potato users, born between 1900 and 1920, regardless of age, race, creed, sex, religion, known to have eaten potatoes, there's been an eventual 100% mortality. Fact!
I cannot argue with those facts, Doctor.
Nor should you. Potatoes are harmful and bring almost supernatural bad luck to all those who eat them.
How so?
Well, for instance, 96% of all people killed in car accidents last year had eaten potatoes at some point. Fact! They must be stopped like the creeping malignant tuber. They must be excised.
I see. Doctor, let's assume for a moment that potatoes are at the heart of our problems today.
Oh, are they? Good Lord.
I understand that you have prepared a demonstration of how potatoes can be dangerous.
Oh, yes. This is Miss Eifling Trapeza, my assistant and au pair. And as you can see, she has two well-formed potatoes.
Yes, goodness, I can see that.
Yeah.
Those watching on our webcam can see that as well, I'm sure. Can we see the webcam version of this, please?
If you would, Miss Eifling. Those two look enticing, don't they?
Yes, delicious in fact.
Well, I can assure you they are. There you have it! A swath of death follows in the wake of the potato. This sort of incident's not isolated, I assure you.
You're shooting people at random?
Oh, yes.
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 Yes. Yes, there's been many instances of projective death in relation to the potato, and of course the Lincoln-Kennedy parallels.
Yes, the Lincoln-Kennedy facts are well known and chilling.
Yes, well, perhaps it would interest you to know Kennedy was shot by an actor and potato user named Mr. Boothjohn. You see, Mr. Boothjohn played a French fried potato on television. He got him on the grassy knoll with a spud gun.
I've never heard that the second shooter was identified as Mr. Boothjohn.
Oh, yes, I call him that. Yes. And in another eerie coincidence, you see, Lincoln was shot by an actor, potato user, named Mr. John Wilkes Booth. You see, he shouted out, "Sic temper tyrannis," the letters of which can be rearranged to say, "Do you want fries with that, Mr. President?" if the room you're in is sufficiently dark.
Well, Doctor, your facts are beginning to convince me that there is something to this great potato addiction.
Yes.
It's always a pleasure and an honor to have people who can back up their theories with facts. I also understand that you earn your living as an expert witness for the defense in criminal court cases.
Yes, I do. I also do erotic pet photography, though no one has asked me to. You see, I often get these two Pomeranians in rage.
Well, we're out of time. Thank you for joining us on Beyond the Known, Doctor. Next week, we join with Dr. Cindy L. Cantilla as we examine the other subversive forces at work, very seriously, in my pants. Good night.
Those pants.
Those pants, yes. Once again.
Of course, statistics are like a bikini. What they reveal is suggestive, but what they conceal is vital.
Is this an illustration of that?
No. Could you come back in about half an hour? Actually, 2 hours.
So, Doctor, is there anything in the McFwap core sample that can tell us of the origins of comedy?
Well, no. Actually, we did find this ancient piece of shoe, which through carbon online dating, we placed in the late Cretaceous period, about 85 million years ago, which with further testing we were able to match to a sample that we found in Utah at the Jurassic Institute, actually, of Technology. It tells a compelling tale.
Oh, do you know anyone from the Jurassic Institute of Technology?
No, I don't drink anymore. But comedy, of course, is funnier in the dark. What I mean by that, of course, is get me in the bedroom and you'll see what I mean. And I mean funny peculiar. Do you mind?
Due to recent major budget cuts in the arts funding for our Shakespeare in the Park series, we bring you Shakespeare in the Dark, in a production of William Shakespeare's Henry V.
Oh, for a muse of fire that could ascend the brightest heaven of invention, a kingdom for a stage, princess to act. Oh! What is that there? And monarchs to behold the swelling scene. I think my leg is bleeding. Then shoot the warlike Harry. Look, this is ridiculous.
Come on, keep going, mate, keep going.
Like himself. Ah! My foot! Ah! You bastard! Assume the form of Marvel!
That's my face,
Sorry.
Well, you can stop feeling it now.
Right.
Whoa! That is here to be like hounds from famine, sword, and fire!
My testicles hath trodden on them.
Sorry. You really think for something like this they give us costume? Where is everyone?
This budget version of Shakespeare in the Dark will now be discontinued. Join us next week for Charles Dickens' A Tale of Two Lawsuits.
That's fascinating.
I thought so. It was actually in the Grand Tetons, way down in the crevasse that we went in there. It was amazing, the Mons area.
Yeah.
I do know that humans and Neanderthals, of course, had a similar ancestor. It was Homo erectus they had in common, Well, I do know we wouldn't have any ancestors if Homo didn't get erectus at some point.
Oh, shut up and do me.
Oh, yeah. Needed an airbag there. We've been at this particular dig site for about 15 years. Well, in clown time, of course, that's only 15 minutes. I don't know if you've seen their act.
No.
Certainly seem that way. Yes, do watch a step. Now, here you'll see primitive clown tracks that go all along this riverbed. These particular primitive clown tracks end here.
Fascinating.
Is it?
Can we see that? Can we get a close-up?
Yes, take a look at that.
Can we see that?
Yes. There they are. Now you'll see that two velociraptors must have come here. The tracks abruptly end. Two velociraptors hunt in pairs, of course. They probably surrounded the Cro-Magnon clown and they came up behind him. They often hunt in pairs, paralleling him. There was a struggle. He did his best bits. Then they quickly devoured the Cro-Magnon clown. Despite his using the slap stick, which only infuriated them. I don't know if you know this, Mr. Legina. Velociraptors have no sense of humor. To date, there's been no record of a funny bone in the fossil record at all. You will note, though, that one velociraptor turned to the other velociraptor and said, "Did that taste funny to you?"
Really?
It was a joke. They can't speak, velociraptors, because they're dinosaurs. They don't have the appropriate uvula tool. Protothorax isn't even a possibility for them. Well, I became interested in analyzing humor because it was the only domain of creative activity where a complex pattern of intellectual stimulation elicits a defined response as a body reflex.
The following program is a presentation of KCTG Los Angeles and the National Public Television Council of Norway.
Hello and welcome to Cinema Chat. I am your host, Sten Torkelsen, a documentary filmmaker from Oslo, Norway. And with me is my lover and co-host, Tanya van der Hooter, chief film reviewer for Gosh, the internet magazine of Marxism, cinema, and vegetarian cuisine. Yeah? For limited time only, visit www.exploitedworkingclass.com, click on the icon of Frederick Ingalls, and receive a free copy of Titania's latest book in the Cooking for the Proletariat series, 100 Sensational Recipes with the Rat Cheese. The rat cheese. Well, tonight's show is a special labor of love for me, as we will be focusing on the subject of a documentary that I've been working on for nearly 2 years now. Of course, I'm referring to the much-loved and highly influential Norwegian comedy team of the Sturm and Drang. Let us take a look now at this rarely seen clip from their debut at the International Cabbage Chopping Festival in Trondheim, Norway in 1960 and 2.
This next skit that we would like to do for you is about a man who walks into a fish market to buy a cigar. But there is no cigar because it is a fish market. We do this for you now.
Hello, I would like to buy a cigar.
But this is a fish market.
Who can keep a straight face after seeing that? However, once the laughter has ended and we dissect the structure of this deceptively simple scene, we begin to see that there is much which lies underneath the surface. Let us begin now with the now famous pivot. Titania?
The pivot represents a major turning point, not only in Scandinavian comedy, but in worldwide political thinking as well. At the end of this skit, Sturm and Drang pivot towards the audience. This was long attributed to the silly notion that Norwegians are a gloomy people, incapable of recognizing that the skit had ended and in need of an indication that it is appropriate to laugh. Now, while it is in fact true that Norwegians are gloomy, stupid, and apolitical, it is ridiculous to believe that this had any bearing whatsoever on Sturm and Drang's creation of the pivot.
Let us take a look at this clip now from their 1966 appearance on Gail Sondergaard's Big Show of Comedy.
This next skit that we'd like to do for you is about a man who walks into a hardware store to buy a meat pie. But there are no meat pies because it is a hardware store. We do this for you now.
Hello, I would like to buy a meat pie.
But this is a hardware store.
Another uproariously funny scene with many layers and subtle nuances. Titania?
Sten, you're a capitalist pig.
Yeah.
This skit
is a clear indictment of the callousness of the military-industrial complex, represented here by Sturm's officious hardware store owner. Further, this skit calls into question humankind's practice of enslaving other species to use them as a food supply. This discreet yet profound theme is brought poignantly to life through yet another brilliant characterization by Drang as the laconic seeker of meat pies. For further investigation into the deeper concepts in the work of Sturm and Drang, let us now view this rarely seen interview with Professor Gunther Speer of the Odessa Film Institute in Santa Eva, Brazil.
Today I would like to examine the deeper concepts present in the work of the Norwegian comedy team Sturm und Drang.
This next skit that we would like to do for you is about a man who walks into a haberdashery to buy a hammer. But there is no hammer because it is a haberdashery. We do this for you now.
Hello, I would like to buy a hammer.
But this is a haberdashery.
Sadly, once the laughter dies, of course, most humor leaves very little evidence of its existence, like Carrot Top. On removing this layer here, I believe we'll finally have a greater understanding of the true essence of comedy. Comic discoveries are paradoxes stated. Scientific discoveries are paradoxes resolved. Would you like to have the honor?
Oh, yes, thank you. Oh my God, it's full of stars. There's Jack Benny, Bill Cosby, Patty Dick.
What is the secret, the root of comedy, that intangible, inexplicable thing which makes something truly funny? We may never know.
I know.
Shh. This is volume 1. But we shall never cease from questing for the answers to the human comedy, from the divine to the sublime. And perhaps life is not without its irony, in that if any of these questions were ever answered, I'd be without a job. I'm Richard Legina, and this is Wraparound.
I can see everyone's future but my own. Oh.
Smiling at everything she needs. Laughter breaks out on the street. And the occasion that child. And you know you're going to do it, 'cause there's really nothing to it. It's a sunshine super day. Everything's okay. In the dayshine super sun. She's the talisman of fun. shine super day, everything's okay. In the day shine super sun, we're the talisman of fun.
Oh, God.
Hey, great work, Charlie. See you next week.
You did this. You will answer to the dark laughter of the clowns. I swallowed the bug. Oh, it's terrible. Oh, God. Oh, don't look at me. Leave me in my shame. You will be visited by the clowns. More clowns as opposed to just the one. Oh, God. This is embarrassing. Where's the stupid clown card? Oh, God. Jesus. Oh.
Oh dear. He's right. They do drink. Sad, really.
I do not drink. Would you stop doing that? God. Could I get a ride from you?